We're tackling the key performance metrics you must know for the Series 65 exam: the Sharpe Ratio, the Treynor Ratio, and Jensen's Alpha. The exam will not ask you to perform complex calculations, but it absolutely expects you to know what each measure tells you, and more importantly, when to use it. Let's start with the Sharpe Ratio. This ratio measures risk-adjusted return by taking a portfolio's return, subtracting the risk-free rate, and dividing the result by the portfolio's standard deviation. For the exam, the key words are standard deviation. Standard deviation measures total risk, which includes both systematic or market risk and unsystematic company-specific risk. Because the Sharpe ratio accounts for total risk, it is the best measure to use when a portfolio is not well diversified. If an exam question describes a portfolio heavily concentrated in just one or two stocks, you should immediately think of the Sharpe ratio as the appropriate performance measure. A higher Sharpe ratio is always better. It means you're getting more return for the total amount of risk you're taking. Now let's contrast this with the Treynor ratio. The formula looks very similar to Sharpe's, but with one critical difference. Treynor uses beta in the denominator instead of standard deviation. Beta measures only systematic or market risk. This is the risk that cannot be diversified away. Therefore, the Treynor ratio is the appropriate measure for a well-diversified portfolio, like a mutual fund that holds dozens of different stocks. In this case, we assume that unsystematic risk has been eliminated. The exam trap is giving you a scenario with a well-diversified portfolio and asking which measure to use. The answer is Treynor, because beta is the relevant risk metric. Like the Sharpe ratio, a higher Treynor ratio is better. It signifies a greater return per unit of systematic risk. Finally, we have Jensen's Alpha. This is not a ratio, but an absolute measure of performance. Alpha tells you how much a portfolio's actual return exceeded the return that was expected, based on its level of systematic risk, or beta. It essentially measures a manager's skill. A positive alpha means the manager beat their benchmark on a risk-adjusted basis. A negative alpha indicates underperformance. An alpha of 0 means the return was exactly what was expected given the risk taken. An exam question might state that a fund with a beta of 1.2 returned 15%, while the market returned 10%. The expected return would be 12%, 1.2 times 10%. Since the fund actually returned 15%, it has a positive alpha of 3%. Here's a simple way to keep them straight for the exam. Sharpe has an S, so it uses standard deviation. Treynor has a T and a B, so think Treynor for beta. Jensen is the genius. Did the manager show skill and generate alpha? This mnemonic connects each measure directly to its key risk component. The most common confusion point is knowing whether to use Sharpe or Treynor. Remember, the diversification level of the portfolio. If it's not diversified, it has total risk, so use Sharpe with its standard deviation. If it is well diversified, the only risk that matters is market risk, so use Treynor with its beta. For free practice questions, AI-powered explanations, and more exam prep tools, visit openexamprep.com. That's openexamprep, all one word, .com.